You didn't need it anyway, my father said, casual as a Sunday weather report, his voice fizzing through my phone speaker like nothing catastrophic had happened, as if he hadn't just confessed to robbing me of my entire college fund. What's done is done. No point getting upset now. My name is Sloane Carter, and at 25 I stood in my tiny London flat, tea gone cold, April rain knifing the window, listening to my father explain why he had drained the account that was supposed to pay for my final year. The account I had built penny by painstaking penny. Scholarships, tutoring gigs, late-night cafe shifts, summers spent shelving books instead of sleeping in. How much is left? I asked, voice steady, hands shaking. Left? None of it's left, honey, he said, breezy like he'd misplaced a pen. I had some debts to clear up. But don't worry, you're smart. You'll figure something out. Figure something out. Like I had a menu of alternate futures to choose from. Like he hadn't just siphoned 4 years of my discipline while I was an ocean away. He'd stayed co-signer on the account I'd opened at 17. His favorite trick. The nice guy father who quietly keeps the key. I see, I said, so quietly even the radiator paused to listen. Well, good luck with that. That's my girl, he chuckled, mistaking calm for compliance. Always practical, just like your old dad. Look, I've got to run, meeting some friends for drinks. We'll talk soon. Meeting friends. For drinks. With my money. With my future. I sat at my wobbly desk, the London street below slick and luminous, the semester clock ticking loud in my ears. 3 months until I had to fly home. 3 months to salvage a senior year my own father had shoved off a cliff. My phone buzzed. A text from him. Don't mention this to your mom or your grandmother. No need to worry them. Of course he didn't want them to know. Just like he hadn't wanted them to know about the gambling that was only for fun. The business ventures that were can't miss. The pattern of borrowing that was really taking and never giving back. I opened my laptop. A new document. Title, The Plan. Documentation, bank statements, a clean ledger of deposits, scholarship letters, every email trail. Research, legal options, emergency aid, part-time work. Containment. Close any account he could reach. Reroute everything to new banks, new passwords, new firewalls around my life. He had always underestimated me. Wrapped his laziness in the word love. Good thing you're pretty, he'd say when I brought home straight A's, as if my brain were a party trick. If college doesn't pan out, you can always marry rich. He said it with a laugh. I heard the leash. By week's end, I had a map of his theft. Just over $42,000, every dollar I sweated for. Gone in a month, drained in a flurry of small transfers, each one just shy of setting off alarms. Death by 1,000 transactions. My roommate Imogen, storm-eyed and loyal, found me buried in statements and highlighters. She read 3 lines and recoiled. Your father did what? Her voice cracked. Can't you report him? He's a co-signer, I said, the words metallic on my tongue. He had legal access. I never thought he'd actually do this. I should have. I should have remembered the birthday bills he borrowed when I was 10 and never returned. The pressure to take out extra loans in my name. He'd help repay them later. He'd been training me to be his safety net since I could count. My phone lit up with a parade of texts. Stop stressing. You worry too much. Maybe this is a sign you should take a break from school. I know some guys who can get you a modeling job, much better money than that degree. Each ding was a confession. Not just that he didn't value my education, but that he didn't even see it. To him I was a resource. An ATM with a pulse. I made calls. Financial aid. Legal aid. Career services. I called my grandmother last, because I knew once I lit that fuse, there would be no going back. I didn't tell her everything yet. I just asked questions, took notes, parsed policies, gathered clarity like ammunition. His next call arrived while I was in lecture. Hey princess, quick question. You don't happen to have any other savings accounts, do you? You're so good with money. My blood went glacier cold. I softened my tone. Why do you ask? Oh, no reason. Thinking about your future. You know how dads are. Thinking about my future. The same way he thought about it when he emptied it. Sorry, Dad. In class. Talk later. I hung up and added a new bullet to the plan. Close anything he knows exists. Move the rest. New bank. New passwords. New air. That night, an email from my grandmother, subject line, called your father. Called him. Of course she had. Eleanor Hayes was the only person on earth who could make my father's swagger wilt. He seemed nervous when I asked about your college fund. Is everything okay? My reply was a single sentence that weighed 1,000 pounds. Can we talk? There's something you should know. The video call formed like a tribunal. Nana Eleanor on the left, Steele in a cashmere sweater. My mother Marina center frame, eyes already flinching. On the right, my Aunt Dana Hayes, the Hayes who went to law school. In them, 3 generations of women who had built their lives without taking anything that wasn't theirs. I shared my screen, statements, dates, withdrawals, and a neat staircase down to 0. The text where he ordered my silence. The casual cruelty in his voice transcribed by my memory so precisely it hurt. My mother put a trembling hand over her mouth. I had no idea, she whispered. He told me you wanted a break from school. That you were thinking of moving home. Of course he had. He never lied. He reframed. I've documented everything, I said. Every transaction. Every message. Every phone call. I'm not letting him write the ending to my life. Aunt Dana leaned in, eyes like searchlights. The cosigner angle is tricky. He had access. But there may be other levers. Has he ever acknowledged in writing that the money was for your education? Any promise to repay? I pulled up screenshots. Emails where he called it your college fund. Texts where he tossed off, I'll make you whole someday like confetti. Excellent, Dana said. Not ironclad but perfect leverage. He admits the purpose. He admits the debt. That matters. What happens next? My mother asked, voice small. She'd been postponing a different decision for years, and we all knew it. Next, Nana said, her voice suddenly a bell. We make Graham understand exactly what he's done, and to whom he's done it. She tilted her chin. I'll confront him first. Dana, you'll draft a demand letter. Itemized with options for restitution and deadlines. Marina, you will stop hesitating and file for the divorce you should have filed 5 years ago. Nana turned to me, gaze softening but never wavering. He has always treated you like an extension of himself. It's time he meets you. That night my father called again, the cheer stripped from his voice. Your grandmother seemed upset, he said, careful, calculating. You didn't tell her anything, did you? About what, Dad? I asked. Sugar over steel. The college fund you stole? The future you tried to bulldoze? Or just your general belief that your daughter is your emergency cash box? Silence. A tick of the radiator. Then a weak laugh. Now, princess. Don't call me princess. Don't call me at all. Everything goes through Aunt Dana from now on. Dana? Why would your aunt need to be involved? Because she's an attorney, I said, each syllable a door closing. And you're about to need one. Predictable as weather, he cycled through the stations. Denial, you're blowing this out of proportion. Anger, you're ungrateful. Manipulation, family is more important than money. I forwarded every message to Dana and said nothing. Let him build the case against himself in his own words. By morning the plan had dates and deadlines. Nana would speak to him first, loudly, on purpose. Dana's letter, demanding repayment or escalation, would follow via certified mail. My mother's first meeting with a divorce attorney was booked for Friday at 2. Some families pass down jewelry. Mine apparently passed down resolve. I was packing my backpack for class when my phone lit up again. This time not with a call, but with a doorbell I could hear through the house. 3 short chimes from downstairs, then Nana's footsteps, unhurried and unafraid, crossing the hall to the front door. The showdown was here. And I was done being quiet. By the time I reached the foyer, Nana had already opened the door only as wide as her patience. Graham, my father, stood on the porch with his salesman's smile and a bouquet he probably bought to look like remorse. The sky hung low and pewter, and the neighbor's curtains twitched with curiosity. Eleanor, he said, smoothing the flowers like they were a personality. Let me in so we can handle this privately. We will handle nothing privately, Nana replied, voice like a courthouse gavel. You stole from my granddaughter. He tried to pitch his voice lower, calmer, that old trust me register he used on waiters and women. Mother, this is a misunderstanding. It is arithmetic, she fired back, not budging. 42,000 and change of Sloane's money in your pocket. My porch is as far as you go. His eyes cut over her shoulder and found me in the hallway. Princess. I stepped beside Nana. Try it again, I said, soft and deadly. Say my name. A flicker. Annoyance tangled with confusion. Sloane, he corrected, as if it tasted wrong. Let your father explain. Nana tilted her head toward the walkway. Explain to Dana's letter. It arrives this afternoon. Leave. He exhaled through his nose, that performative disappointment he wore when he didn't get his way. You're really going to make a federal case out of a family issue? No, Nana said, and the single syllable rang. I'm going to make a family case out of a federal issue. He looked ready to push, to shoulder past the threshold like always, but Nana had already shifted her weight in that imperceptible grandmother way that says there's a frying pan somewhere within reach. He backed down, threw the bouquet at the step, and stormed off with a parting shot over his shoulder. You're turning her against me. You did that yourself, Nana murmured and shut the door. Dana's demand letter arrived at his house before dinner time. An itemized ledger of every withdrawal, each date, each dollar. A polite sentence noting the text where he called it, your college fund. Attached 2 neat options. Restitution on a schedule with interest or escalation, civil action, disclosure to the court in the pending divorce, and potential complaints regarding financial impropriety tied to other family members' accounts. He called me 10 minutes after the mail would have hit his box. You can't sue your own father, he barked. Watch me, I said and hung up. Marina, my mother, kept her appointment with the divorce attorney. I sat with her in the waiting room, shoulder to shoulder, holding both of our hands together like one person could be enough. On the intake form under primary grounds, she wrote 2 words that made something inside me unclench. Financial infidelity. He kept texting like the messages could hypnotize me. You're blowing this out of proportion. It was just money. Family is more important than money. Your grandmother is poisoning you. Be practical, take a semester off. I forwarded everyone to Dana and said nothing. At the first hearing, the judge asked the question that finally stripped the performance off him. Mr. Carter, is it correct that you emptied your daughter's college fund to pay personal debts? Graham shuffled. I was going to pay it back. With what? The judge asked, eyebrows climbing. According to these records, you haven't held steady employment in 3 years. He sputtered something about business ventures. The courtroom air thinned. If embarrassment were visible, it would have been a stain spreading across his expensive shirt. Meanwhile, life had to keep moving. I camped in financial aid offices like they were my second home. When I explained, documents in hand, dotted lines highlighted, the counselors leaned forward, faces softening. Emergency grants opened like hidden doors. A payment plan slid across the desk. Professors authorized flexibility. Late-night labs, early morning makeup exams, extensions paired with expectations. For the first time in weeks, the future didn't look like a closed road. Then Dana called, voice bright with a flinty kind of triumph. He's not broke, she said. He's hiding. New car 6 weeks ago. Country club dues current. And he posted pictures from a guy's trip to Cabo on a private account he didn't think we'd find. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. So the Poverty Act is theater. Community theater, Dana said. Bad lighting, worse acting. Her next filing braided those findings into a tidy rope. We'll pull, he'll yank, something will give, she said. In the meantime, do not engage. I didn't. He pivoted to cousins instead. To Jake, a freshman with a careful savings account. To Mia, a senior with a summer fund. He sent them messages dipped in honey. I can help you grow your money. Co-sign this, great for your credit. Family helping family. Jake sent me screenshots with a single caption. This look familiar? Too familiar. Dana convened a Zoom with the cousins and their parents, laying out passwords, account structures, the difference between a beneficiary and an owner, how not to leave the vault door open because someone insists they're just checking the locks. We moved their funds to cold storage accounts with 2-factor codes even a magician would hate. Then Aunt Patricia, Graham's sister, called Nana and me on a 3-way line. Her voice shook with a fury that sounded like grief. He took birthday money from my boys. Said he'd invest it for them. I believed him. Nana was quiet a long time, The kind of quiet that isn't empty but brimming. "We're done excusing him," she said at last. "We'll help the boys. We will not help Graham." The family met, without him, in Nana's living room, where sunlight turned the lace curtains to paper lanterns. People I hadn't seen since childhood sat on the edge of sofas and told small, terrible stories with the air of confession. Loans never repaid, checks held for safekeeping. Signatures obtained just in case. "He's always depended on our loyalty to shield him from consequences," Dana said, standing by the mantel with a legal pad. Time to redefine what loyalty looks like. Consequences arrived like dominoes. The divorce unearthed accounts he'd tucked under cushions. A second checking account, a line of credit in Marina's name she never approved, a failed attempt to remortgage the house behind her back. Marina's settlement climbed with each discovery. Enough to pay off what he'd saddled her with. Enough to give her a start no man could touch. Dana's pressure forced him to sign an agreement. Restitution to me, monthly with interest, collected directly from his wages once he finally secured a job. No good faith, just good paperwork. The first payment hit my account on a Thursday morning at 8:03 a.m., so punctual it felt like an apology. It wasn't. It was leash. He tried to spin it, of course. He called Nana, called Marina, called anyone who'd answer. "You're ruining my life. Your daughter is trying to bankrupt me. What kind of family does this? The kind that stops being your ATM." Nana told him and clicked off. When he realized he couldn't crack our line, he pivoted to image management. Facebook posts bloomed. Throwback photos of him lifting me onto his shoulders at a fair. Captions oozing about sacrifice and supporting my little scholar. He tagged me in 3. Dana drafted a cease and desist faster than he could hit share. He showed up once more, this time outside the university hall while I was leaving a study group, arms spread like a game show host, voice pitched for any passerby. "That's my girl," he announced to no one in particular. "Gets her business sense from me." My friends froze. Heat crawled up my neck. "Security," Imogen murmured, already dialing. He stepped closer. "We don't need lawyers, Sloan. We're family. Let me take you to dinner. We can fix this." I lifted the strap of my backpack higher onto my shoulder like adjusting armor. "Everything goes through Dana," I said and walked past him. The campus guard intercepted him 5 seconds later, redirecting him to the sidewalk and out of my atmosphere. He texted an hour later. "I'm still your father. We can work this out quietly." I looked at the emergency aid letter on my desk, the bank notification of his first payment, the email from a professor praising a paper I wrote between filing deadlines and sleeplessness. Quiet had protected him for years. I'd finally learned how loud fairness needs to be. The fallout kept spreading. Former investors from Graham's hobby businesses started calling Nana. "He promised returns," one said. "All I got was a membership brochure to the country club." Dana collected names, dates, promised nothing but honesty, and sent 3 more letters. I got stronger in the ordinary ways. A part-time job through one of Nana's friends that paid enough to keep me afloat. A class schedule engineered for survival. A spine that no longer asked for permission to stand up straight. Each small victory added a brick to the wall between his choices and my life. "Your father called me," Nana said one Sunday over stew. "Tried to convince me to talk you out of the repayment plan. Said it's destroying the family." "What did you tell him?" "That he destroyed it himself when he stole from you." When the semester ended, I passed everything I needed to pass and something I didn't know needed passing. The point where his opinion mattered. Summer shimmered with possibility. Interviews, an offer letter from a London firm I dreamed about. A lease on a small flat that felt like a proclamation. We scheduled the next steps, legal, financial, personal, like you schedule dentist appointments. Routine. Necessary. Root canal now, smile later. And still Graham tried for the last word. "I'll be at your graduation," he announced in a text months later, as if RSVPing to a party he wasn't invited to. Proud father moment. "That's my girl." I forwarded the message to Dana. Her reply was 2 words and a plan. Understood. Prepared. Graduation arrived lacquered in sunlight and security protocols. Dana had coordinated with campus admin like she was staging a heist in reverse. Wristband guest list, ushers with a photo of Graham in their pockets, a politely worded letter in the registrar's file authorizing immediate removal if he attempted a proud father cameo. Marina sat between Nana and Imogen, hands laced tight. Aunt Patricia and the cousins filled the row behind us like a phalanx in nice shoes. He tried anyway. I saw him first in the distance. Fresh haircut, cheap cologne you could smell from a memory away. A knockoff smile blazing as if cameras were orbiting him. "That's my girl," he declared to a cluster of strangers, angling his body toward where a lens would be if this were still his show. "Not today," Dana said, materializing at his elbow with 2 campus officers and a printed copy of his own signature on the no-contact parameters he'd agreed to for the ceremony. He blustered, "Family, forgiveness, optics." But the officers were professionals in the gospel of firm kindness. They escorted him to the perimeter while Nana watched with the serene expression of a queen signing a treaty. I walked the stage to a sound I will never forget. "My name, my name, my name," thundered by women who had refused to be robbed, echoed by cousins who had reset their passwords, carried by a mother learning to say yes to herself in court filing ink. When the degree slid into my palm, I felt the world click into a new gear. After, under a canopy of paper banners and June wind, Aunt Dana touched my shoulder. "He's fine," she said. He tried the "let's fix this quietly over dinner" speech on the officers. They suggested he fix his payment schedule. "Poetry," Nana murmured, passing me a glass of lemonade like a benediction. Consequences kept arriving like bills forwarded to a new address. The divorce fleshed out what Graham had tucked beneath the rug. A side checking account, a store credit line he opened in Marina's name, an application to remortgage the house he forgot to mention. Marina's settlement rose with each revelation. A life raft of numbers, finally big enough for one woman and her future. Dana's pressure transformed from threats to plumbing. A garnishment order that siphoned restitution before Graham could spin it into golf fees. A schedule that dinged my account at 8:03 a.m. on the first Thursday of the month so reliably it felt like the world telling time. He called it extortion. We called it calendar. He pivoted to reputation management the way a drowning man pivots to driftwood. Facebook posts bloomed. Throwback photos of him pushing me on a swing, captions about sacrifice, and supporting my scholar. He tagged me until Dana's cease and desist turned the tagging spigot off. Then he tried the family group thread he'd been politely removed from, screenshotting my graduation speech when a cousin shared it and sneering to anyone who'd listen. "She's still angry." Using my mistake for attention, Nana typed back from her armchair with the clarity of a tornado siren. "She's successful. Using her strength to help others. There's a difference." Meanwhile, the broader constellation of people he dazzled started waking up. Former investors called Aunt Patricia. He promised a return. All I got was a selfie of him in Cabo. Dana kept a chart: names, dates, amounts, promises. As if she were archiving the weather pattern of a long storm. She drafted 3 more letters, polite as dentures, sharp as their bite. We built systems. Patricia launched a family chat titled Graham Alerts, where screenshots of new gambits appeared like wanted posters. "He's asking my son to co-sign a car to build credit. He says he can get my daughter an internship in London for a small consulting fee. He promised Uncle Theo he'd secure a voucher for airfare if Theo wired a deposit." Each alert was met with a chorus of "no," followed by Dana's form reply. He stopped mistaking us for an ATM when we started acting like a bank. Records, audits, locks. London unfolded like a city that had been waiting for me to stop asking permission. The firm I loved offered a position. The line on the offer letter with my name printed in black ink felt like a seal cracking. I furnished a small flat that looked like my taste and nobody else's debt. Imogen threw a housewarming, hang-string lights, and we clinked glasses to a new vocabulary. Solvency, boundaries, peace. Nana came to visit, her first trip abroad at 70. We ate shepherd's pie at my corner pub. She declared jet lag, a rumor spread by weak men. On our second night, my phone pinged with a text from Graham. "Heard Nana's in town. London's pricey, hotels, meals. If you need help, I know some places. Proud of you, kiddo." I showed Nana the message. We laughed the same laugh. Should I respond? I asked, though the answer had been living in me for months. "Darling," she said, raising her glass, "your life is the response." Work thickened in the best way. I found myself mentoring other students who hit snags where support should have been, helping them translate bureaucrat into English, teaching them how to write an email that says I deserve fairness without apologizing for it. A charity invited me to speak on persistence. I did not name him. I did not need to. I talked about the morning I woke up to a zero that should have been a safety net, and how sometimes the people who should be your shelter become the weather you learn to withstand. The room listened like oxygen. Afterward, a girl with shaky hands said, "You made me feel less crazy." I thought, that's the degree I wanted all along. Graham saw the speech anyway. Someone posted a clip in the family thread he no longer had access to. Through a cousin grapevine, he sent a message to Nana. "She's weaponizing a mistake. When will she let it go?" Nana's reply was a crochet needle through silk. "When her account is whole and her piece is intact. You may expedite either at any time." The last payment landed on a Tuesday. It broke habit by 1 minute, 8:04 a.m., as if it fought all the way through the pipeline before surrendering. In the transfers notes, "Final installment. Now can we be family again?" I filed the receipt in the same folder where I kept the first demand letter. The social media screenshots, the stuttering apologies, the timeline that began as grief and hardened into evidence. Then I closed the folder and placed it on a shelf I rarely open because closure doesn't need dusting. I typed a reply I didn't send because some sentences are for you and your courage and no one else. Love isn't a blank check. Conditions are what happen when you burn trust. I hope you learn the difference. Marina remarried, quietly and properly, to a man who brings flowers because he wants a smile, not leverage. At their small backyard reception, Jake raised a glass and said, "To the Hayes women who taught the rest of us where the lockbox is and how to keep the key." Laughter broke like good weather. Months turned to markers. A promotion at the firm slid across my desk, proof that the traits Graham mocked as overreacting were simply attention to detail wearing armor. I framed the promotion letter beside my degree, and a picture Nana took of me on the Millennium Bridge, hair wild, eyes steady. He still tries sometimes. The holidays bring a card in an unfamiliar hand with a familiar script. "Still paying for one mistake. When will you let it go?" I tack it to the corkboard beside the evidence of a life he didn't build and can't borrow. The notes on my board don't argue with each other. They just coexist until one fades. In the end, his punishment was never the garnishments or the letters or the neighbor's whispers when Nana closed a door on his face. His punishment was witnessing the one thing he couldn't counterfeit, my success without him. Watching the checks leave his account every month not because he loved right but because the law insisted. That was justice wearing a wristwatch. He thought stealing my future would keep me within his reach. He mistook dependence for devotion. He forgot that practicality is a sharper blade than rage. The day he drained the fund, he was sure he'd taught me my place. He did. Just wasn't the place he pictured. My place is here. In a city I chose, in work I earned. In a family remade by boundaries and love with receipts. The degree he tried to turn into confetti hangs straight. The life he bet against is busy happening. And the girl he called princess learned how to crown herself.